following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here on the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate you all for joining us here. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey. And Kelsey, Thanksgiving's come and gone. We're nice, full, feeling all of it still, even a few days later. And we got ourselves some tiers to do that. Things are starting to take a little bit of shape. This was kind of the mark, and was after Thanksgiving, and we finally got there.
Yeah, we got our appetizer with some Thanksgiving games, and then I think we got our full course with the rest of Sunday. Pretty exciting week this week. Really, I think it's safe to say we really found some of our real contenders now. It's no longer any of this question marks. Although there is one, I still have questions about one team still, and it's just I don't know what to do with them. I guess two teams now, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, this has been a very exciting last couple weeks of the NFL season. So I'm excited to see what we'll do with the tiers this week.
Many questions were answered, but even more ended up being asked. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to pop in the tiers, and here's what we are looking at right now as well. We're going to go from the bottom to the top. The Panthers, they get their own category of what are you doing? Firing Frank Reich in week 11 and then not only that, getting rid of McCown, the quarterback's coach, Deuce Staley, the running back coach, cleaning house at week 11 with a first-year coach. Impulsive, unnecessary overreaction. You reap what you sow. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. I won't get too much into it. Preview ahead to the cast, everybody. Spoiler alert. We'll talk more about that later. But point is, they get their own category. Bad. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray looks fun again. He still looks pretty competent, but that team still needs work. Washington. Sam Howell can throw it all over the place, but he's kind of become a little erratic with turnovers. The offensive line stinks, and the defense is awful. Patriots, I don't know what else you want me to say about that. It's the Patriots at this point. It's the opposite of what it used to be for the majority of our lives. Tennessee, right now it's just seeing what Will Levis has. This season's a wash. You just want to see if Will Levis can show you signs moving forward, basically. That's pretty much all you're doing at this point. And seeing if you can maybe elongate Derrick Henry by one more year, but good luck with that. Not great. Bears coming off a nice Monday night win, but boy, did they try to lose it to the best of their abilities. They tried their hardest to lose that, but they managed to come away with the win. Bengals, Joe Burrow's out. T. Higgins is banged up. This season's a wash at this point. Now at this point, you're just kind of hoping you can annoy some people and maybe steal a random win here or there. So Giants, Tommy DeVito's been fun and dandy. It's Linsanity, both an Italian flavor to it. There's not a whole lot going on there. It's at least fun. They're just playing themselves out of the Drake May and Caleb Williams sweepstakes at this point. No playoffs. Jets, Bills, Chargers, Raiders. They're all still technically in it, but I just can't see it. They've screwed the pooch in their last chances. They pretty much have to all but win out, it feels like, at this point. The Chargers and the Bills, they have a chance, I guess. They play each other during that stretch, so one of them is getting eliminated during that. Jets, enough said at this point. Raiders, it was fun. Like, they're going to be competitive, but it's an uphill climb on a motors, and you're on a bicycle, on a unicycle at this point. Need to figure it out. Buccaneers, Green Bay, surprisingly on a nice little streak they've gone on here recently. The Rams, the Saints, and the Vikings, you saw the last one was all AFC. Well, the NFC is a little more open. These teams are still in the hunt, but they got some holes to figure out. Tampa Bay, Baker with a gnarly ankle injury. They've kind of lost a little bit of that efficiency they had early in the season. Green Bay, honestly, just keep doing what you're doing the last couple of weeks. I just don't know if that's sustainable, and get Aaron Jones healthy. The Rams, stay healthy. Kyron Williams is back, and boy, did he come back with a vengeance. The Saints, just play Jameis Winston at this point. Just throw in Jameis Winston. What do you have to lose? I mean, Derek Carr's getting $100 million to be a little bit less productive than Andy Dalton was last year. Just throw in Jameis. He'll throw it up there. Hopefully, Chris Olave can come back at this point. Hopefully the concussion doesn't keep him out. Otherwise, the Saints are cooked. Vikings, I don't want to say the Josh Dobbs fun part is over, but it's looked rough the last couple of weeks, especially the last 6 quarters. We'll have to wait and see. They already talk about during the bye week, Jaron Hall. We'll see. Playoff hunt, but very, very flawed. The Browns, that defense is still outstanding, but if they give an inch, someone will take a mile, and they don't have a quarterback situation figured out yet. The Broncos, they're winning. They have the longest win streak in the NFL, but I still have a lot of questions because it's very, very – it feels like the Vikings and the Giants last year, if that makes sense. How it's like everything's really close. The ball is rolling their way. Russell's playing great, but in a very limited fashion. The Colts have arguably the worst quarterback of all the teams this high and above, yet they're somehow in the 7th seed. I don't get it. And they're also like 29th in points given up. But here they are in the 7th seed. Jonathan Taylor's dinged up again. We'll wait and see. But Shane Steichen's well on his way to potential coach of the year, the way this team's actually competitive, losing their quarterback so early. The Falcons, they're in the NFC South. They're fine. Like that, they're bad, but they're in the NFC South, so that's why they get above everybody else at this point because they're technically leading that division. Seahawks, they got a tough Thursday night game with your Dallas Cowboys. It's not a must win, but boy, is it gonna hurt if they don't win. It's just not what we anticipate. Steelers, you put up a bunch of yards without Matt Canada. He might have been the main problem with the offense, but he still had trouble scoring. There's still some questions with Kenny Pickett, in my opinion, as well too. Just he looked a lot better, obviously, with Pat Freiermuth and without Matt Canada, addition by subtraction. But we still need to see a little bit more too. Houston, CJ Stroud's the real deal. Those weapons, the offense is clicking. The defense, little shaky in the offensive line sometimes can be a little shaky, but honestly, they're the least flawed, but maybe the least talented on this group overall. CJ Stroud's just been that damn good. Same with Tank Dell. Legit threats: Lions, Cowboys, Dolphins, Jaguars. I think we all expect if you match up with them in the playoffs, we're not going to be surprised if they win necessarily. It depends on how they win. That depends on who they beat, but we all expect they can win a playoff game comfortably. Super Bowl contenders: Chiefs, Ravens, 49ers. The AFC NFC championship game, the way things are lining up right now. And then at the top, the Kelly Green Eagles. I mean, undefeated in the Kelly Greens at this point. Just beat the Bills after playing one of their worst games. You know what? At this point, they've earned this mark. Will they keep it? We'll see. But this week, they've earned the spot. So, Kelsey, go ahead and have at thee.
Yeah, I'll start from the top and work my way down. Eagles, Kelly Greens. I mean, look, they are the top team right now. It's whether they wear the Kelly Greens or they wear the blacks or they wear the midnight green or they wear all white. Take your pick. You're gonna get beat probably. Just a tough team right now to play, and nobody really wants to play them right now except for maybe NFC East opponents, not named the Cowboys.
No, Cowboys probably want to see him too.
Well, fair enough. Super Bowl contenders. Yeah, look, Chiefs, they had me going for a moment where I thought they were not going to be a Super Bowl contender. And then they're like, oh, by the way.
In case y'all forgot.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The Ravens, even without Mark Andrews right now, are looking like an absolute threat. Take your pick on how you want to try to get to deal with them. That defense by itself. I mean, Roquan, Patrick Queen, just roaming Odafe Owe. Take your pick on that in that middle of that field and try to run away from those guys. You're not going to. We talked about Tampa Bay when they're Super Bowl year and how amazing that linebacking core is. The Ravens are easily better. I will just say that with a fact right now. They are easily better top to bottom, more athletic as well. Reminds me, actually, ironically, since the next team's the Niners, ironically, it reminds me of the Niners with Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. Just add in a third guy who is equally as freakish, and you have a pretty good comparison. And then not throwing a Kyle Hamilton. Ravens, absolutely Super Bowl contenders. Niners, I'm still hit or miss on the Niners, but at the same time, I can't ever take them away because they still win. And I don't like it. And that running game is stupid. That offense is just stupid in general. So, yeah, Niners stay there for whatever. Legit threats. Yes, the Lions didn't pull it off. Is anybody surprised they lost on Thanksgiving Day, though?
Hindsight, not as much because this has been their story all year. It's as soon as they have prosperity, they take a poop on you a little bit. So this was kind of right on cue in hindsight, looking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just to me, I wasn't surprised to see the loss. I was expecting it. Thanksgiving Day has not been the Detroit Lions' friends throughout history. I mean, you name it. Go back to Barry Sanders. That's about the last time they were successfully consistently on Thanksgiving Day. On the flip side of things, the Cowboys are nigh unbeatable on Thanksgiving Day, so I don't take a whole lot of sauce from this game from the Cowboys. But I will say it was, okay, fair enough. Dolphins, I was just telling DJ off the air, I just started watching the Hard Knocks with the Dolphins, so this is going to be a fun time. They are equally just as good, and, well, their Hard Knocks is going to be a lot of fun because they are good, and they're not changing. This is a team that's got a lot of personality, a lot of fun, and they just are out there. Literally, it feels like a backyard playground every time they're out there. So, and then they have all the weapons, all the athleticism, all the talent, all the coaching to go with it. It's going to be a scary team. Honestly, this team, I would put into Super Bowl contenders if they hadn't lost the games they had lost. Because some of these games is just like, how did you lose that? Like, you put up 70 on the Broncos, but you lost to them? Really? Like,
those two, them and the Cowboys are kind of in this because they're can crushers at this point. Dude, they're very good. They don't have a kind of dub like the rest of the teams have.
Yeah, and then Jacksonville, after taking an early season break and then going to London and getting themselves figured out, they have been very good. And you saw Calvin Ridley and what that team could do this weekend. Christian Kirk got involved. I mean, he had a 85-yard touchdown or almost touchdown reception right before half or something like that. It was on 55, something like that. It's stupid. Get dragged down at the one. Look, Jacksonville's a talented team, and there's no doubt about it. But unfortunately, they might not even win the division at the rate they're going if they stumble down the road. So they have to keep on their P's and Q's, but they are still a legit threat, whether they go in as a wild card or go in as a division winner. It's still a team I don't really want to play. Moving to the playoff hunt, but flawed AF. Yeah, big one right now. You look at the Browns. Big flaw is who's going to play quarterback. You're back to PJ Walker again if DTR doesn't pass his concussions protocol.
Joe Flacco season.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Maybe Joe Flacco season if you're not careful. Colts. Jonathan Taylor just getting a thumb surgery, so that's a little concerning. So you are back to Zach Moss again, but Zach Moss has proven he can be good.
Still 10th in the league in rushing somehow.
Yeah, I mean, so questions there, but I mean, at the same time, somebody's got to finish 7th in the AFC. On the same topic, I'm skipping the Broncos because I just don't really have a lot to say about the Broncos because I've said enough about the Broncos all season. On the same topic of somebody has to finish 7th, well, somebody has to win the NFC South. Why not the Falcons? I'm also going to say the same thing about the Saints now. I'll just get them both out of the way. Somebody has to win the NFC South. It's going to be one of these two, and I just don't know which one it is, and I don't know if they know who it is. Yeah, Falcons, I don't get it, but you know what? If I see Cordero Patterson start to get pumped up and they don't give the ball to Cordero Patterson anymore, I'm going to riot. Because you don't give the ball to anybody else that's talented, and then you don't give the ball to Cordero Patterson after he rambles through 7 people to get a first down, and then I'm just anyways. Arthur Smith. He needs to figure something out. Speaking of figure something out, the Seahawks. You're going the wrong way right now. This is not, you don't want to back into the playoffs by any means. Again, somebody has to finish 7th in the NFC as well. Unfortunately, they might not get there if they keep going backwards. They do have a lot of ability, a lot of talent. Just Geno seems to be making Geno-like mistakes a la New York. Geno, not the Geno we saw last year. So we'll have to, I'm okay with them being here because they are still in the playoff hunt. Steelers, no comment. Just
enough has been said about them.
So frustrated about the Steelers. Texans, though, man, how much I wanted them to win this game over Jacksonville because they are a legit threat in my eyes. Yes, they are flawed. The flaw being they're young and they're playing way out of their comfort level, way out of their league, if you will. But man, they are actually probably the most legit threat out there, especially with that running game, especially Damian Harris getting healthy as well. I think add in what Devin Singletary's been doing, add in Damian Harris, add in Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. Everybody keeps forgetting about Dalton Schultz. I said that was a great pickup for the Texans in the offseason. I didn't think it was going to be this good of a pickup, but you know what? I'm going to take credit for that nonetheless. And D'Amico Ryans is absolutely out here coaching out of his mind. It is everybody feeds off him. That whole team feeds off him. So the Texans, while they are flawed and their flaws are obviously the young, not quite as talented as everybody else, they do still have holes. They are a legit threat for a playoff hunt, though. So if they can have their own category, maybe that's where you go. But honestly, I'm fine with them being here at the playoff hunt. Maybe the front of the playoff hunt, but they're also just one loss away from being eliminated from the playoff hunt. So it's also that weird fine line there. Similar to what I just said about the Falcons, I'll throw in the Buccaneers. I just have more concerns about them because of the injury to Baker. That just is a lot of question marks there. Green Bay, yeah, keep playing the way they were. They might finish second in the division after all. I would be shocked. But you know what? Surprised me once. That receiving core, I said it before. I'll say it again. A lot of young receivers, but man, they are a lot of fun to watch in Green Bay. They're fast and they just get open. So weird to think. LA, yeah, return of Kyron Williams. Good. All right. That's all there was to it. Return of Kyron Williams, the return of the winning ways, if you will. Which is surprising. I didn't see as much Puka. I didn't see as much Cooper Kupp as I would maybe like to see. But it's okay because Kyron Williams was there to save the day. Already said enough about the Saints. The Vikings are concerning, but they're not. I think this was just one of those situations where you were bound to have that bad game. And I think you also faced a Bears team who has literally nothing to lose and is playing like it right now. And look, rivalry games, we've seen it. We saw it all weekend in college football. You know, you throw the records out the window when it comes to rivalries for the most part, because players play, and especially when the team has nothing to lose and they can knock a team out of contention, they're going to play a lot harder. And I think that's what we saw with the Bears and the Vikings. Although there were concerns obviously with Josh Dobbs's progressions, his reads. By now, you think he'd be reading it a little bit better. But you know what? So be it for right now. We'll see what they do next week. Next week, I'll make my big determination on. They're the ones I've had the big question mark about, because either they're going to be no playoffs or they're going to be a playoff hunt but flawed. And I just don't know which way they're going right now. Also, Alexander Madison needs to get more involved again. That just needs to be part of their game plan. No playoffs. Yeah, I mean, the Bills, come on now. How many times are you going to get to the overtime game against a top team and lose? What, 5 times now in the last 4 years that they've had it happen to them?
5 times since that Chiefs overtime loss where they tweaked the rules a little bit. So 0-5 since then.
No, so 0-6 if we include the 3-point game, whereas literally Josh doesn't see the field for 7 minutes of time or 8 minutes of time of playing time from the fourth until the overtime win, something like that. But anyways,
something like that. Either way, they can't figure it out late. They can't close the deal even when they can't close it, and sometimes they can't even open it.
Well, speaking of neither closing nor opening, you have the Chargers as well. You have the East Coast version, you have the West Coast version. They're both equally just as disappointing when it comes to winning. Unfortunately, they do it in the fourth quarter, whereas the Bills do it in overtime. If either one of those, if you just combine the two teams, you probably have a pretty successful team. Or just figure out the coaching. I don't know what's going on right now for either team. Just a lot of stupid gaps both back and forth. Bills secondary not being able to cover, the Chargers just forgetting how to block anybody for a moment. I don't get it. Forgetting how to cover as well. But I digress. So no playoffs for either one of these teams. I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, there's too final lines for these two teams to not be able to make a mistake, and they're playing in too tough a division to be able to do that without making a mistake. Raiders were fun. That is all there is to it. Not great. Yeah, I mean, I just said about the Bears. They have nothing to play for anymore. They're not good. They're not a good team right now. That's acceptable. Everybody understands that. They're eliminated from contention. But don't be surprised if they upset a few teams going down the road. I think this is not great, but I like them at the front of this category because they're still a team nobody wants to play, really. Because they do have the ability to just go off for a random 40-point game, and you're just left wondering what just happened. Who just ramrodded you? You just don't know. Bengals, though, yeah, everybody's injured. Flush the toilet. Giants. How weird is it that the Giants still can actually have an outside shot at the playoffs? It's an outside shot. It needs a lot of help, but it is an outside shot of the playoffs. And that is shocking to me.
Just goes to show how the NFC as a whole is 4-team heavy, and then the rest of it's a crapshoot, minus a few of these teams at the bottom.
Definitely not a great team. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, Tommy DeVito's doing what he can, the Italian Stallion, whatever, Paisano, whatever they want to call him. But yeah, I mean, still not a great team. Yeah, the next 4 I don't have any comment on. I'll refrain comment on all 4, except for please give me more Bailey Zappi for the Patriots, and please let him throw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage, because when he did, he got first downs. It was actually a competitive game. It's useless with Mac Jones. Stop trying to make Mac Jones work. It didn't work. Didn't even work in college. He barely worked in college. If it wasn't for Devontae Smith, it wouldn't have worked in college.
It's tanking season. The Patriots know that, so we're going to see a lot more Mac Jones.
I need more Bailey Zappi.
They're trying to get Drake May up in the Northeast.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to say about Commanders. You're right about their offense. I mean, you wrapped it up pretty well. Cardinals, I mean, it is what it is at this point in time. Yeah, Kyler doesn't look bad, but okay.
That team.
Can we just shelf him until he doesn't get injured for next year? That's where I'm at with that. Titans, I don't care anymore. I've stopped caring about the Titans since week 5. Yeah, just can Mike Vrabel, and you might have a chance next year. And then speaking of canning people, the Panthers. Why? But did you expect to win 7 games, 8 games, 9 games this season? Nobody expected them to win more than 5. And if you did, you were naive, and I'm sorry, you're an idiot. This Panthers team was not built to go out there and succeed this year. Frank Wright is being made a scapegoat for whatever reason. And I hate it. I hate it for him. He doesn't deserve this. No coach deserves this type of scapegoatism. You saw it before with Houston. You saw it with Arizona in recent years. You've seen it with Chicago. The Jets have done it where they just put a coach out there, let him ride for a year, and then fire him. It's just like, why? Why are you doing that? Like, what is the point of doing it? I mean, it's not like the Panthers were out of every single game. Honestly speaking, I think they were only out of 3 of their 10 losses at this point in time. Yeah, I don't know. I think the team's competitive. They're just not there. They're just not there talent wise, and that is what it is. That's not the coach's fault. You can't coach a certain like in the NFL. You understand there are talent levels, and you cannot coach talent gaps for a long period of time and expect success. The Texans are the outlier to this whole thing because you are out coaching your talent, but that's because they are playing way above board, and we don't know when the wheels are going to fall off there. Whereas in Carolina, the wheels just never got put on.
We're pretty much in agreement there. They're the bottom feeder right now. We'll go more into that situation tomorrow on the cast as well. So you all want to tune in for that because that's
All right,
there's still a prelude of the rambles we're going to go on. Because we both have weirdly strong feelings about this one, even though it's neither one of our teams really, or neither one of our coaches. It's just we got a lot to get into on that one. But here's what we're looking at for Tier Tuesdays as well too. By the sounds of it, looks like we're all in agreement for this week too. It's everyone kind of makes sense at this point. Like things are starting to take shape. It's more or less of what fun names can we come up for with them at this point as well because everyone's starting to take shape and see who wants to plummet. Next week, we're going to learn a lot with some big matchups this week. Be sure to tune in for that one and be sure to tune in to our live cast Wednesday at 8 p.m. or anywhere you like to catch your favorite podcast. We will see you all again next time.